your skill sets are going to be used for something or some cause which is bigger than you. Now that cause can be anything. It can be working for a corporate, or it can be working towards some sort of societal benefit or making money or whatever it is. But whatever the cause is, it is usually bigger than you. Many artists, say for that matter, they don't have a piece of paper, but they are just having an ingenious because they have devoted enough time, energy, attention. It's yoga of its own sort. We call it kala. Saksharaha viparitashchit rakshasaha eva kevalam sarasaha viparitashchit sarasatvam namunjati.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fun Indian Guy podcast. It's not going to be the way we usually have the podcast. Today's session we have Rohan once again on our podcast, and he's going to be there coming back and forth in different episodes because we have decided to start this new segment on the channel in the podcast itself, where we are taking different scripts from Sanskrit, different subhashita from Sanskrit, and trying to interpret it in today's lifestyle and today's time, because I have studied them when I was in school, but that was the only part I was connected to them. As I was going ahead in my life, I had more conversations with Rohan, and he has been studying Sanskrit. He has been curious about Vedas, and he has quite good amount of knowledge, which I always realize. And that's why I invited him to discuss some of the things on this episode. So we're going to roll this intro. We don't know what we're going to name this segment because this segment will be coming back. But for now, let's just call it a segment and let's roll the intro. But you can say hi to Rohan.
Hi Suyog, and thank you for having me here.
And you can say hi to other people as well.
Very nice to see you all, and hope we can have fun.
And we have dual camera setup. So if you're just listening to it, come on YouTube and watch it. It's going to be fun. We have two cameras rolling and everything. Let's roll the intro and start the conversation. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Suyog, also known as the Fun Indian Guy. I'm a designer, musician, filmmaker, and a mechanical engineer. I'm from India, and currently I'm chilling around, traveling around, working around, roaming around, having fun around Europe, and this is my podcast. The Fun Indian Guy podcast.
So let's begin the episode. Really happy that you are back and looking forward to talking to you on different topics on this podcast. Always excited to talk to you.
Nice to be here as well, Suyog. Thank you so much.
So the topic which we are talking about today, it's more about education, kind of related to the system, and how degree or whatever certification we get is of some relevance or of, because knowledge is the main thing which we aspire for when we go for masters or whatever. I would like to start this episode by giving my example, which I'm going through right now, that I'm finishing my masters, but I'm also applying for visas so that I can start working. The only requirement which is causing a trouble right now is that degree certificate, which I'm not going to get this month because I'm graduating next month. So there is a job opportunity. I'm ready to work. I have all the knowledge acquired, which is required for that particular job, but I'm not able to begin it just because of that piece of paper. And we had this conversation before, and always makes me a bit uncomfortable that you have knowledge, but that piece of paper is holding you back. So I just wanted to open the conversation with this point so we can dive into this topic.
Sure. Yes, I guess we all go through this situation at some point of time. Through my journey, I've seen different parts of this paper being an asset or paper being a hurdle. Let's first, in my opinion, make a discretion that knowledge is not paper. Mm-hmm. A paper is a certain amount of educational standardization. It does not mean that you know anything about the topic, or an absence of a paper does not mean that you don't know anything about it. So maybe to reframe it, the presence of a paper does not mean that you have in-depth knowledge, or an absence of the paper means that you're not knowing anything about the topic.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
Okay. So what I'm trying to get to is paper is largely societally accepted certification, but it also is sometimes reflected as an ego. Because just when we think that, okay, I have done a certain course, we might get into this cloud of ego that we know something about the topic. No. In truth, every topic is vast, very deep, and I guess knowledge in itself as a concept is so deep that you can spend lives trying to learn about something, and yet we can know very little. So, first and foremost, let's make this discretion that having a paper is just the ego of a standardization. It is not knowledge.
True.
So, in my life, I've seen 2 or 3 very funny situations wherein I guess I did my first postgraduate course before my graduation.
Yeah.
And I got a paper which predated postgraduate educational credits before my graduation, and that became a hurdle because I could not apply for my PhD straight away because I was unique in the system. So what it really meant is that for me, for that knowledge to flow through, there was more life experience necessary.
True.
So what we learn at university, or perhaps what standardized education systems offer, is a certain amount of literacy about a certain topic. Knowledge, or jnana as we call it in Sanskrit, is not the same as education, which largely is interpreted as saksharata or literacy.
Okay.
So let's be very clear that knowledge and paper are 2 very different things, and you having a paper or not having a paper should not be a hurdle of your life experience.
True. The way we are pointing at it is very interesting, because even I had my bachelor's, I did mechanical engineering, and I'm not quite sure how much of it is still in my head, because then I took design, I did music, and I couldn't practice that knowledge a lot, or those kind of skill set. I have it back in my head. Like if I want to study, I can just brush it and get back to it. But right now, I'm not sure how much relevance of that degree has in my life. Correct. Though it looks important on CV and all those things. And coming to this conversation, which is especially coming from you, given the fact that you have done bachelor's and dual master's kind of, and a PhD, and then you are also saying that the paper does not really define the knowledge, but it's 2 different things. So how Correct. Do you see that piece of paper, because you have got many of them in your life? How do you look at them, or what is the important, or what is the point of getting that particular degree or getting that particular skill set? No, skill set is again different. Getting that particular piece of paper.
Okay. So first and foremost, I did not aim for the pieces of paper. Let me just start over there. I study ecology. I wander around forests. I went to many sites in the Arctic. It was not for my PhD. I inherently like to study change. Environment is the only permanent principle of the environment, which is permanent, is the change in itself. So,
nice.
When we study change, we evolve. Evolution is a 2-way process, and so is education, or so is jnana. When we study the outside and have its reflection on our inside, that is when the journey of knowledge for me begins. Now, this journey can be represented in different segments, and then these segments can be some parts of these segments can be hosted at university, and if you successfully fulfill these segments, you do get a piece of paper, yes. But that is all about it.
True.
So a few of my friends did ask me the day I got my doctorate that how do you feel about it? And my honest answer that day and even today is, and I guess always in the future will be, that I realize that I know so less.
That's really humble of you.
But that is necessary.
True, in a way, yes.
The truth of it is that we have got a very beautiful saying in Sanskrit, which says, Saksharaha viparitashit rakshasaha eva kevalam Sarasaha viparitaschet, sarasatvam namunchati. Let me just walk you through these lines.
Better, because my Sanskrit is not intact anymore.
The word sakshar means educated. When you turn the word sakshar around, you get the word rakshas, which means demonic.
Yeah.
Saksharaha viparitaschet, rakshasaha eva kevalam.
Okay. Education is kind of opposite to the demonic.
No.
No?
Education
Yeah.
without moral values
Okay.
will make you demonic.
Wow. Yeah, that's very true. Like, it's obvious, but well put.
Just take an example of maybe one of the most lethal creations of this world, something like an atomic bomb.
Yeah.
It was created by somebody who was very literate.
That is right. Yeah.
A farmer who knows how to grow does not create an atomic bomb.
Yeah.
But there is the second part of this sentence which goes, Sarasaha viparitaschet, sarasatvam namunchati. When you turn the word saras around, which means humble.
Okay. Yeah.
When you turn the word humble, or when you turn the word saras around,
It stays Taras.
it still stays humble.
Yeah.
So the flow of knowledge requires the potential difference of humbleness.
Okay. Yeah. So I have a doubt. This doubt is coming to me. It's like, what is it related to intention? Like, the moral is intention,
Yes,
or pretty much?
correct.
So you can be educated, but if your intentions are ill, then the results will be ill in a way. But if you are humble, then no matter what you do, your intentions will always be humble because you are humble.
Correct.
Okay. Nice.
Why educate? Maybe that is much more of a fundamental question than what does the paper do. We all have got an aptitude.
Okay.
Where did we get it from?
Is aptitude you come along with, or you gather it on the way?
Both. Just like every other environmental process, it's a two-way evolution.
Okay.
But this aptitude being a two-way evolution without any certification of any university, which is our basic spiritual, our own biological instinct, is why we really go behind knowledge.
Yeah.
So the quest for knowledge should not, ideally, begin for the piece of paper.
Yeah.
It should be to suffice your aptitude.
Okay.
Now, your aptitude is key to everything, because why do you learn something? Because it is going to make you functional in this ecosystem. With your people, with the society, with the environment. Your skill sets are going to be used for something or some cause which is bigger than you.
Okay.
Now that cause can be anything. It can be working for a corporate, or it can be working towards some sort of societal benefit, or making money, or whatever it is. But whatever the cause is, it is usually bigger than you. Your aptitude eventually gets you employment. And your employment makes you a facilitator between different parts of the society.
Okay.
So, realistically, that piece of paper is going to aid you in your journey, perhaps, to some extent.
Yeah.
At least I will not say that is too much. Because I've seen many people who don't have a piece of paper. Many artists, say for that matter.
Yeah.
They don't have a piece of paper, but they are just having an ingenious, because they have devoted enough time, energy, attention. It's yoga of its own sort.
Right.
We call it kala. In Sanskrit, jnana is addressed in different words. There is vidya, there is kala, jnana, yoga. All of these different aspects shed light on different relationships between how a person has accessed knowledge.
Yeah.
So, it is very important that you must find your relationship with what you're doing, and the piece of paper is perhaps just a byproduct.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. While we are having this conversation, there are two more points which are coming in my head. One was, as you said in the beginning of this conversation, that piece of paper was kind of the byproduct, but the experience you gather on the way, or experience you gather while getting that piece of paper, was much more important and much deeper.
Correct.
And I can completely relate with it, because even if I say I don't want that degree, or if I want that degree for the visa, but the experience I got while going through the process, the people I met, the kind of education I got was much more broader.
Correct.
And the second thing which I understood while we were having this conversation was more about the source of knowledge. Because as we are going ahead, as the internet is broadening up, as many things are already available online, you have to go to the systems like universities for some specific sort of educations, for example medicine or architecture or something like that. But many other educations or many other undefined paths of career are now readily available to digest or to consume or to learn from internet.
Correct.
In that sense, again, you are not getting the piece of paper in the end of it, but you are getting some sort of knowledge.
Correct.
Now the thing comes in the question, like now the question comes in my mind, it's the intention.
Right.
What you should learn or what you should consume or what you should go for.
Correct.
It becomes a question.
Right.
Because university has a setup, university has particular steps to follow, internet doesn't have.
Correct.
So maybe people might tend to diverge or maybe get misguided by the information online.
Right.
So the question becomes that nowadays, in today's context, how, taking the context of internet especially, where the knowledge is available in all forms everywhere, how one should try to apply the similar sort of principle
Right.
about moral intention and staying humble.
Right. So I guess there is two parts to this answer, to this question, sorry. So the first part of the answer is you start with the inside, because that is something in your control. What is your aptitude? Start defining that part. Then look for authentic sources of knowledge. There is nothing as bad as misguided or wrong knowledge. So there can be very good courses online, and there can also be very good courses at the university in itself. So if I have to make a choice, I will study the course curriculum and see where do I find the deeper depth. So the deeper it gets, the more it is going to percolate inside my system.
Yeah.
So that is eventually going to help when I'm going to apply this knowledge.
Right.
So the path that I would take is, first I would define what I would like to do, the inside, and then find where best can I do it.
Right.
If it is online, do it online. If it is through university, do it through university. But I would put enough attention to research where it is taught the best.
Okay. Makes sense. As this episode is kind of coming to an end, I would really like to mention one of the examples he gave me while we were discussing last time about same knowledge. I was a bit low that day because of this visa, and I had to take the degree in order to apply for the visa. And we were discussing that, and that time we were talking about degrees and if does it make sense to get that piece of paper and how can we do like separate knowledge and everything. And that time he said, even if he has got a PhD in environmental sciences, it's right?
Yeah.
Even if he has got PhD in environmental sciences, the humbleness I would like to mention of him in this conversation is, he said, though he has a piece of paper says he has a PhD, but there are chances that one tribal kid who is staying in the forest and the nature might...
There are no chances. I'm pretty sure that they know, they always know way more than me.
Yes.
Because maybe perhaps I lost time publishing things, but they live the forest.
Yes,
so they will
yes.
always know more than me. And let me tell you that it's not just me. Every good scientist will say that he does not know.
Yeah.
Because that is how science progresses. So it's not just me. This humbleness goes through the entire academia and the entire world of science. So
yeah, but that was really like not touching, but it was really kind of also emotional for me saying that particular sentence, and it made so good sense, but it's also very simple. I really liked it. So that's where I started thinking that we should do this in a podcast format. And other interesting thing about this podcast format is, while we were discussing again the Vedic studies which has been done in India and everything, the history we have, most of the knowledge back in the day was in the format of
Guru Shishya Parampara.
Yeah, but it was said than the written format.
Yes.
In the beginning.
Yes.
So whatever knowledge was transferred from one person to other or one generation to other was from the vocal and listening medium.
Correct.
And then I started to also find a relation between podcasting, because it's also a verbal and vocal medium.
Correct.
Where we are not giving out the knowledge, but we are giving out the experiences.
Correct.
And whatever we feel about things. And that link between those two ideologies or those two ways was really interesting for me.
Because more than scripting is something that really brings things to a two-dimensional reality and can be misinterpreted or can be differently interpreted by the person who is reading it.
True.
But the word for that in Sanskrit is Shravana Kirtana. That has always been given more importance than scripting.
Yeah.
Because in a audio-visual format, your most of your senses are alert and paying utmost attention to the person who is speaking and to what is heard.
Yeah.
So your retention is much higher because you're using a bigger part of your life experience than reading something two-dimensional and then painting a picture of it in your head.
Yes. Yes.
So, yes, certainly it's a better format than...
Yeah, and it's good that we are in position to use that format to share what we feel and to reach more people. It's always that always fuels me up whenever I make these videos. Like that small, not power, but that opportunity you get to be in one space and still send out your information or send out your thoughts. It's really beautiful. By this conversation or by this last discussion, our podcast is now coming to an end, but I would like to end this on again the same Subhashit which you said. I would like you to again say that one more time and then we end on that note or the meaning of that Subhashit.
Saksharaha viparitaschet, rakshasaha eva kevalam, sarasaha viparitaschet, sarasatvam namunjati.
Perfect. So stay humble and have the thirst for knowledge. In itself. Piece of paper will come your way if it has to.
Correct.
That being said, don't forget to follow Rohan on Instagram. He's also a very nice photographer. He's also running some educational programs in India. Maybe I'll put the link down below on this video or on this podcast. Also subscribe to the Fun Indian Guy on YouTube and follow the podcast wherever you're listening to. And tell us if you like these things or if you want to know some more things about it. We will be doing such conversation once a month or something like that as we get time. Sure. So thank you so much and we will see you next time. Ciao.
Thank you all. Ciao.
The Fun Indian Guy Podcast.